Yeah, the first 40 minutes passed. Each 40 minutes we have to reconnect. What is happening with the banks? The banks affect their money supply through uh, they choose to hold some excess reserves. They may not choose to hold these excess reserves. They may decide to not to provide that much loans, and that means they do not have to place that amount of excess reserves to the bank, to the Fed. So they can really affect the money multiplier by that. And how about depositors? Each one of us can affect money multiplier because the ignition process started when we place our currency holdings to deposits. This affects the currency ratio, first of all, and this changes the money supply through changes in money multiplier. The more money, the more amounts of money we place in the deposits, the more amounts will be able for the bank to use, and this is also affects the money multiplier. Only two tasks, then we'll have a break. Only three tasks. Number 11. The money multiplier is necessarily greater than 1. Is it true or false? So, any ideas? Is it true or false? So I would say this is false. The money multiplier can be less than 1, and the money multiplier can be greater than 1. We have to understand that this is the required reserves plus excess reserves. These influences, not the excess reserves, plus E. And this, the sum RR required reserves plus E is greater than 1. So money multiplier can be less than 1. But E, of course, is really small. And this sum is less than 1, and the money multiplier is greater than 1. So this is the whole statement is false. Number 12. Now we're thinking of some catastrophic event in the economy, and this event is on the news. Everyone go to the bank, and financial panic means people starting to have bank runs, So they crowd it with the bank and withdraw money from the bank. If there is substantial withdrawal, the bank might not have enough assets to pay their depositors. This is really this provides large effects on money multiplier. So the money multiplier will probably decrease, the money supply decrease, because even if the monetary base is not changed, those two values are involved in how much loans they're provided and how much deposits there are. So if there are no deposits, no loans are provided, money multiplier go down, money supply go down. In the financial panic, banks want to make less risky loans if they can, and they should have more liquid assets because there is crowded people, right? And they require them to be paid, and the bank have to hold a lot of liquidity, a lot of liquid assets. So all in all, here, when the financial panic happens, lots of currency holdings, low level of deposits, and that's what we have seen in the start of war between Russia and Ukraine. In the financial system of Russia, immediately after 24th of February, the next day, central bank decided to change the interest rate on deposits to up to 20% instead of previously like 8%, so 12% more, just to prevent the bank runs, just to prevent the uncontrolled increase in currency holdings and going down the whole banking system. This was a pretty good decision. As we can see, the bank system still holds, and there were already three changes in the interest rates from the Fed, from the Central Bank of Russia. It changes to, I'm not sure, but I think this is about 14%, so 6% down through these 3 months of war. Of course, this is a lot of fake here in the economy, but still the decisions that they make, they allow the banking system to functionate, and this is what they need to do. So these decisions are pretty good. And of course, these decisions were made back in 2014 when there was another crisis with the annexion of Crimea. And at that time, also there was a substantial increase in interest rates just to prevent the bank run, because the economy go down twice this amount, and the exchange rates from 30 they started to be 60 rubles, so the local currency started to cost a lot less. But with this kind of events, the whole economy was pretty stable at the new level of equilibrium 7 to 8 months later of these events. For now, it's really hard to predict, but really interesting from the point of economists, how this whole system will stand or will not stand. I think this will be even worse, and the whole picture is covered with the fake news. But the real deal, the real catastrophe in the banking system and in the whole economy is enormous, because the whole economy affects on the GDP growth. If you understand the GDP growth like 1% per year, it will take about 20 years to be at the same level. And if the economy from that level goes down 10%, that means these 20 years of development, they are out of sight. So the whole generation worked for nothing. This is really hard. 10% is really hard. This is a gradual change, and this change cannot be reversed because there should be mechanisms to reverse. Like in the United States after financial crisis, like 1 year and everything is all right because there were mechanisms to reverse that, because the bubble, yes, but the production force, other possibilities to develop, everything was pretty normal, like on the previous pre-crisis level. Here, everything changed because new logistics, new technologies should be somehow imported. And without technologies, it's really hard to develop. So let's get back to our money and banking. And number 13, the last question here, the last theoretical question. So the currency ratio and excess reserves rose dramatically. So first of all, we need to explain why currency ratio rose dramatically. The Great Depression is the same as what is happening here in the Russian economy. People prefer to hold currency, especially if this currency is stable or stabilized in this kind of thing. Previously, people prefer to hold United States dollars, euros, and other stable currencies. For now, the really hard to convert from rubles to dollars to euros. Everything is not working that good. The conversion is not free anymore. But rubles, for some part, at least for some part, they stand. So people prefer to hold currency. The same was happening in during Great Depression, because during Great Depression there were no mechanisms to back up the holders of bank deposits. So if people tried to place their currency holdings in the bank, there was no guarantee that they could withdraw their money back. And because of that, the same is happening in Russia. There is no guarantee that they will be able to withdraw the whole sum back. And this is like, if you place 20,000 US dollars in the deposit account, you will be able to just withdraw back only 10,000 of US dollars. The rest should be converted to rubles or to other currency. And the conversion exchange rate is not beneficial for people. During the Great Depression, there was really hard to withdraw money from the bank. That's why people prefer to hold currency holdings, to make currency holdings. What about excess reserves? The banks themselves, they also were worried about their stability. And they tried to choose the most riskless asset they could find. They only provided loans for those who definitely will pay. Like the city or the whole country, they will definitely pay. That means they could provide loans for them. But instead of providing loans, there was also one riskless, or with the very low risk asset. This is the currency. This is the excess reserves. And this kind of excess reserves, they work as the currency holdings for people. So instead of providing loans, the money were kept safe in the Fed. And this was the choice of the banks. Instead of risking their money, they just place money in the Fed and guaranteed their safeness there. That's now, after we discussed the currency holdings preferable for public and excess reserves preferable for banks during Great Depression, how these factors affect on money multiplier. So No deposits means no loans. No liquid assets, not the liquid assets, not assets for providing loans means lower money multiplier. So both these factors, they affect money multiplier dramatically, declining it, and the monetary base generally hasn't changed, or maybe it grew a little bit, but that's it. The money multiplier is not out of the is out of the control of the Fed, and the money supply does not change at all, or maybe it changes, but at a very little amount. So generally, 100,000 you place in the money, in the monetary base, and then it will end up to, let's say, 1 million. In real life, it will change to like 400,000, 500,000. This is like the more preferable match. But during depressions, during this depression, 1930s, during financial crisis of 2007, everything was different, and this end up with low money multiplier and lower effect of change of monetary base to the money multiplier and money supply. Okay, so let's meet in 10 minutes at 10:26.